Welcome to the Flex Forward Podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward Podcast. Today, we're joined by Shawn Griffith. Shawn and I have known each other for several years. Shawn's a great guy. We've been in the real estate world, kind of going down the same path and running with some of the same groups. He's part of Craft Capital now, and I'll let Shawn give a little more information on what he does with those guys, but another good group of guys. Shawn, welcome to the Flex Forward Podcast. Really glad to have you on today and can't wait to visit with you some. Can you let our listeners know a little more about you and kind of what you do on a daily basis?
Well, as you know, knowing me, giving me a chance to talk can be dangerous. I'll try to keep it short. Yeah. You just give me the cut signal if I need to. So like you said, Nic. Again, appreciate you hosting the podcast and letting me meet your guests virtually. And Craft Capital is a boutique private equity firm. We're based here in the DFW area. We focus exclusively on assets in the DFW area. Our core business is multifamily. We're in the process of expanding into other business acquisitions, things that'll complement our multifamily business, like concrete, plumbing, electrical, that kind of stuff. That's still in its early stages. But we're, like you said, we've connected through real estate, and, I've been investing in real estate since, like 2011. I've had some great deals and I've had some not so great deals. So I've seen both sides of the story. I'd love to be able to say I've never lost money in real estate, but I'd be lying through my teeth. This last cycle, I think, hit a lot of people, and made them realize that the basics are important. Mm-hmm. One of my big hot buttons is risk management, risk profile. When I talk to investors, some of them get this funny look because they go, well, nobody's ever said that to me. I'm going, well, they need to, and you need to listen.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important to share with people that there is a risk in this. There's no guarantee. There's, and we've all learned that over the last few years that, it's the market, things outside of your control. You could have great operators, and great operators have lost money in deals in this last cycle. Just, I think
I was invested in a deal that, we lost 91% of our equity, and the team because they talked about it, and and now on the plus side, they learned stuff from that. I wish it hadn't been my money they had learned with, but they had their money in there too. So I get it. It's all part of the deal. It's all part of the deal.
Well, and that's with things that you're going to make. You have a lot of upside. You usually have some downside too. It's, if you want a nice guarantee, you can put it in a checking account or some kind of a little money market and get a nice small return.
Even that doesn't come with zero risk. A lot of people think it does just because they've got that federal guarantee in there. And I'm going, if you've looked at the federal balance sheet, it's vaporware, man. They're guaranteeing it with, I don't know what, but anyway, that's a whole nother discussion we could get into and spend an hour on.
Exactly. So the too big to fail, but are you in a big enough one? That's been a challenge to me. I like using smaller banks, but I'm like, well, if the poop hits the fan, well, where's the government going to help first? Is probably the bigger banks. But I know.
I know. Like I said, we could go off on this for hours.
For sure. So in the real estate world, it's been filtered out quite a bit, but there's also still quite a bit of competition. What's something you feel like sets you and your team over at Craft Capital apart from other people who may be doing the same thing?
Well, one of the reasons we focus exclusively on the DFW area here is our core team is based here in DFW. We are the boots on the ground. We do sub out our the property management to a third party. But like when we take over an asset, we typically buy distressed assets, which means there's going to be a lot of work on the front end. Somebody from the team is at that property every single day that, the office is open, and sometimes when it's not, making sure that the rehab is flowing along like it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
And, we are very hands-on from an operator standpoint. Some property management companies don't like that as much. Most of them understand it and they get it because, they know if the business is profitable, then they'll be profitable.
Well, and there's ways to be hands-on too. I think it's important to be involved. Even if you're hands-on, you need to give them some power and some rope and decision.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think I'm pretty hands-on, but I like to try to let my property management team make the decisions. I may nudge them into that because I want them to have. I feel like if they feel like they've made the decision, they have more ownership in it, and they're gonna fight harder for it.
Well, and decisions that are property management related, like all the day-to-day stuff, we try to stay out of that. Where we get involved is, if there's something happens at the property and we need to spend a big chunk of money,
mm-hmm.
then we get much more involved.
For sure.
If they miss knocking on somebody's door because the rent's late a day or two, I'm not going to go down there and beat on them. That's not that's the regional's job.
Yep, for sure. Well, have you found something through this process that comes easier for you that maybe others find more challenging?
Delegation. I am not afraid to delegate stuff to people on the team. Like they may come up and say, "Hey, we need to do this and this," or we think this is a good idea. And I'm going, "That's a great idea. Why don't you go research it and come back and give me 2 or 3 viable, vendors or options or whatever." And I said, and then we'll go, because I try to get people to go and do their own thing and put the time in that they need to do.
And that's awesome. That's one of my challenges is not delegating. I have a hard time at just one. I have it in my mind. Oh, if I can do it, it's going to take me time to get it to somebody else. My wife gives me a hard time. It's like, you need to find other people to do it. You need to set up systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I do. As we've grown bigger, is trying to not pass things off, but do it where I can focus on the more important.
Focus your energy. Yeah, you focus your energy on the things you're good at and let you hand off the stuff that it's not. There was a book that we read as a company, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And one of the phrases that came out of the book, and the title is escaping me at the moment, but you may know it when I say the phrase, is the guy came back and said, he was kind of the same way. He goes, I know nobody else is going to do this 100% the way I want it. He said, but one of the things I found is that a task that I've handed off to somebody else that's done 80% is 100% awesome because I didn't have to do it.
Is it the 80-20 rule? Is that
no?
Not how?
No, it's in one of those.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
It'll come to me eventually, but yeah.
I've read the same book or one that had kind of a similar. It's like if you get 80% of it done and you're focused at 1 hour or 10 hours, whatever it would have taken you, doing something that's more in your skill set. And at some point you're going to find somebody who truly I'm not doing the accounting, but there are people who are skilled at certain things that I should probably be passing off to because that's their skill set, not mine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. I still joke with the team when Gabe brought me on, he made me, I think the title he used was VP of Finance and Treasury, which is funny because I don't have a finance degree and I can barely spell treasury. And I know what all that stuff means and some of the stuff that's supposed to be done, but, I didn't have the experience in there, but and he and I both agree I'm not the right person in the role for the long term. He goes, you're the right person now just because you're getting it done.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've done is I've implemented a lot of automated processes because my life prior to real estate was in technology and, business and data analysis and, building systems. And I've written code for pretty much every language you can, programming language you can imagine, and some you can't. And it's just, I've taken all of that and I've rolled it into how can I use what I'm good at to help me do things that I'm not. And with AI, you can't use the excuse anymore that, well, I don't know how to do that. You can go have a chat GPT session and say, hey, somebody gave me this CFO task to do. I don't understand all the ins and outs. What do I need to know? What data do I need? Who do I need to talk to? All of that kind of stuff. And literally within 20 or 30 minutes, you can have a pretty high level idea of what you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken all of that and I've rolled it into now when all of my monthly financial reports come in from the property management company, I don't open them. My AI pulls them down, stores them in our G Drive, analyzes them, drafts an email and puts it in my Gmail so that I can look at it and it's already addressed to the partners on that deal. All I have to do is go through and check it and go, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense. And then 99% of the time right now, I don't have to do anything. So now I've got a monthly financial analysis on each property and it sends it out to the partners and, makes me look really smart.
No, that's nice because we have a VA that does the objective portion. Then I come in and write a paragraph for each property, like just a personal. It does two things. But I love what you're doing because it gives you some like bullet points. But yeah, that's one.
Yeah, this is nothing we would send to investors. This only goes to your This only goes to the partners. Yeah, this only goes to the partners.
Nice.
And because it's detailed, I would never let AI just write and send something to investors. It still needs that personal touch.
For sure. And that's my paragraph.
Yeah, exactly. And I treat AI like a really, really smart college intern that has multiple doctorate degrees and no freaking idea of what it is I do or the task that I'm giving to it. So one of the things I've learned, if you're dealing with AI at all, is you don't have to go write a book to tell it what to do. You just need to be very specific. And you can write 2 or 3 sentences that have very specific details in it and get a much better response than somebody that writes 2 or 3 paragraph prompts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just being more direct and to the point.
Yeah.
When I think refining too is important. It's my wife finally. I haven't done this, but she told her chat to whatever she's using to quit being nice because it was, oh, this is awesome. You're really great. She's like,
I hated that.
I don't need you to tell me I'm nice or it's great every time you send something to me. Just save that sentence or two. So as you've kind of gone along this journey, have you come across anything that maybe you can share with our listeners that's helped you to improve personally or business wise, financial wise, books or podcasts or things that you like to read or listen to?
There's a ton of great books out there. They're always coming out with more. A few of my favorites are Robert Cialdini's book titled Influence.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about it, I noticed that Dr. Cialdini has a doctorate in psychology. And I'm going, oh, there's no way I can get one of the very well written book. Man knows his craft. And if you're ever trying to convince anybody of anything, there's something in that book that you can use. Another good one that's along that same vein is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah, I read it. It's been a long time, but I've
read that. I usually read it, I don't read books that much anymore. I listen to them on Audible, when I'm driving down the road, going from meeting to meeting. That's one of the other things that's kind of a time hack. It's like when I'm in the car and it's just me, I'll put on a podcast or a book. But yeah, the other part of it is, connecting with people locally. There's several
relationships
different
are so
the
important.
Meetup groups. I was at an event over in Fort Worth at the Fort Worth Club and ran into the dad of one of our lawyers. And their last name is Merchant. You may be familiar with Merchant Bank and a few other things that they're into. He basically runs the investment arm of their family office, and so that was an interesting conversation.
That's important connecting. You never know who you're going to connect with, where. Yeah. So it's so in relationships in any business, in the real estate business, but it's so important. The Influence book, I have that. I'm trying to encourage my daughters to read it. And, they're a little bit, Dad, I don't want to, they think about it as manipulating somebody. I'm like, no, you're going to deal with people all the time in relationship or business, whatever it is, friendship, just knowing how to,
unless you're going to live in a cave.
Yep.
You need to know how to interact with people.
And it's helpful because then there's no question on how you're communicating. You're being up.
Well, and the flip side of that is, once you read that book, you'll start seeing how advertisers and stores and people are using those techniques to influence you. And then now the fact that you're aware of those techniques, they don't have any well, I won't say they don't have any sway. You at least have the advantage of knowing that, oh yeah, they're trying this thing on me.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's something you're going to buy anyway, it doesn't really matter, right? But
sure. But no, it's that making you feel like you need it instead of just wanting it. It's marketing. That's so true. So, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your either full career or just the real estate career?
Oh, geez. Just looking at real estate, I mean, the biggest thing, I still get a chuckle out of it. One of our mutual friends, Mike Guthrie, we were talking one time, and he goes, net worth is great. He goes, you can't eat net worth. Got to have cash flow. Yeah, you got to have cash flow because and that's probably the biggest thing, especially if somebody is just getting into the real estate business and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to quit my job. You might be able to do that. I would recommend strongly you don't do that right away because you got to build up that cash flow.
Yep.
And, and that takes time. And the other thing you've got to remember is that cash flow can dry up and go away in a second. We have a property we've been trying to do distributions on for 2 months, but we keep having these CapEx expenses. Something breaks, we got to fix it. Something breaks, we got to fix it. And while in the longer term budget, we have that kind of stuff in there, it's like when it happens, and that uses all of your available free cash flow. Now you can't accrue anything because Gabe knows one of my big hot buttons is that the worst thing you can do in any business is run out of cash.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a reserve, which I lovingly call my oh crap fund. So when the property manager calls you and you pick up the phone and go, oh crap. Well, you can reach into your oh crap fund and throw some money at it, and it goes from being a major headache to just an expensive inconvenience. But if you didn't have that money there,
well, and you may have deals sell. I mean, you're like, I'm selling 2 deals now, so I'm going to lose. These are deals that are given distributions and our asset management fee, so I'm losing pretty big, decent chunks of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to get paid a decent amount, and I'm planning on reinvesting, but it may take a while to find another deal to put the money back into. So it's not guaranteed, but Guthrie, I've heard cash flow doesn't pay bills. Not cash flow. Net worth doesn't pay bills. Cash flow will, but net worth doesn't. When things start getting tight, you can't buy something.
Have you looked at those DLP funds?
Mm-mm.
You might check that out because that would be a good place to park money. One of their funds, I think they said they have like a 90-day liquidity clause.
Okay.
Nick DeLeon uses them.
Okay. I know him.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good chunk of change with them. And he goes, they tell you it's 90 days. He goes, the most he's ever had to wait was 7 days to get his when he made a request.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. Well, Shawn, as we're winding down here, you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, we've actually got a property under contract. We're trying to get that wrapped up. I think you know a little bit about that deal.
Yeah.
And
good looking deal.
Yeah. And then that's probably first and foremost. And then coming up in October, October 16, 17, and 18, we're going to be hosting our second Fund Leader Summit. We did one back in March that was hugely successful. We had 50 or 55 fund managers from across the country come in and had a great time, learned a lot, made a lot of great connections. So we're going to do that again in October. And then, like I said, we're looking at several businesses, and we've got one that's looking really good at the moment. And of course, when it rains, it pours. We're right in the middle of a capital raise for the property, and then we're looking at this other one. Now, we won't be doing a capital raise on this one because since it's our first deal, we're not going to open it to other investors until we've done one and we've kind of worked through what are the headaches, what are the hiccups, is it going to work or not? So we like to kind of prove out the concept before we bring it out and even offer it to anybody.
Okay, good stuff. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for joining us today on the Flex Forward podcast and sharing a lot of good information. If the listeners would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can check out our website at craftcapitalinvestments.com. That's craft with a C, investments with an S, plural. Go to the About page. My contact info's there. Book a calendar, send me an email, look me up on LinkedIn. I'm not hard to find.
Yeah, definitely reach out. Shawn and his group are doing good things. I highly recommend them. You're good guys. I would invest with them if I was in that position to do an LP investment. So definitely look at, make contact with these guys and follow along with them and learn more about them. And thanks everyone for joining us on the Flex Forward podcast. Shawn, appreciate you coming on and sharing lots of good information. And I really appreciate getting to chat with you a little bit.
Well, Nick, I appreciate you having me on, and I really appreciate the endorsement because that means a lot coming from you, because I know you don't idly just endorse anybody that you would invest with. So we really say thank you for that, and thank you for your time in the podcast today.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.